Rev up your engines!
Stephen the Best, so Scotty, do you think GM will ever pull out of the United States? Not completely, but of course, they've already begun it. The other year, all the ones they sold in China were made in China. So it wouldn't surprise me if in the near future they start making them in China and selling them in the United States. The handwriting's kind of on the wall on that one. And people can talk politics all they want about they don't like this, they don't like that, but the corporations pretty much rule with that. If they want to make them someplace else and selling them, they'll get the politicians in their back pocket and let them slide it in. There's too much graft and corruption in Washington for anybody to say they're actually going to stop something for real other than just platitudes that they are all throwing out from both sides. Vivian 1 says, how reliable is a 2014 V8 Raptor versus a Generation 2 Raptor with the twin-turbo V6? They're relatively new. But realize, of course, the V8 ones are going to be more reliable just because you got a big V8 engine that can take the power and it doesn't have twin turbos on it. You get a V6, you put twin turbos, you're putting more pressure inside the engine, and those twin turbos are the GDI injectors, which push 1,000-something PSI into the engine versus 40 PSI in a regular fuel injected. All that extra pressure and all that extra technology, of course, it breaks down over time. It's only logical. You know, you get a V8 engine, take care of it. It's going to outlast V6 that's got twin turbos and GDI. That's only common sense. Plus, the newer technology, often there are things that fail because they didn't know how long these things are going to last 200,000-300,000 miles, where I see many V8s Ford engines out there with 200,000-300,000 miles on them. Joel Ferretti says, Scotty, what do you choose, Mustang or Corvette? Well, I chose a Mustang. I like the Mustangs. The Corvettes have become more of a European-style car. They're not an American muscle car anymore like a Mustang, and I like the Mustangs. Things are kind of fun to drive around in. The Corvettes, the good ones that really zoom, they cost too much. The new ones over $100,000. You can still get a really nice Mustang for $50,000, so half the price. I wouldn't buy the Corvette. I'd get a Mustang. But I'm cheap. I won't buy anything. I get to drive them for free when I'm done working on them. That's fun enough for me. Dominic Vargas says, Scotty, what do you think of the Mazda Miata 2011 and the GT Ford Mustang of the same year? Basically, you're comparing apples and oranges. You can't really compare them. The GT Mustang is a muscle car for screaming around in. They're both rear-wheel drive cars, I'll give you that. But you got a Mustang that's a screaming, gets horrible gas mileage, has a ton of power, versus the Mazda Miata that's a cute little car, still their rear-wheel drive. It's fun to drive around. It gets really good gas mileage. You really can't compare the two cars. You'd have to decide, what do you want? Do you want a cute little car that can last a really long time and drive around in? Or do you want a muscle car? In the business I'm in, repairing cars, the Mazda Miatas are always known as a girly car. The mechanics all call it a girly car. And the Mustang is known as the guy's car. You know, what image do you want to portray? But they're apples and oranges. You can't really compare them. Grably says, should the oil and manual transmissions be changed, or is it not needed? Okay, it's a good idea to change it, but you don't have to do it that often, maybe every 60, 80,000 miles. Standard transmissions use what's called splash lubrication. I've done the road, the gears just splash oil all over the place. And it just drips on the gears and it lubricates them. Automatic transmissions have oil pumps that pump it through the system, so it's a completely different system. But I still would change it every 60, 80,000 miles because it's easy to do. Most of them just have a drain plug at the bottom, it drains out, and then they have a side plug. You take that out and you pump new fluid in until it comes out of the hole on the side, and then it's full. It's a real easy thing to do. Angela Dolores says, should I get a motorcycle or a car? Depends a lot where you live. Let's say you live in Seattle. I wouldn't be seen dead in Seattle on a motorcycle. It's always raining, and that's when you get killed and slid or people slide into you. You got to think about the weather, a motorcycle versus car. You really do have to. Like if you live in Hawaii, hey, feel free to get a motorcycle, or maybe New Mexico where it's dry most of the time. Hardly ever does any rain, and it'd be fun to have one. If you don't mind being out in the elements and getting dirty, go ahead and get a motorcycle. Just realize this is the most unsafe form of transportation. I mean, they don't have seatbelts on them because if they did, then when it crashed, you'd be crushed with the motorcycle. It's dangerous stuff. I've driven them since I was a teenager. I've lucked out. I've never had any big wipeouts and got injured. But realize they are extremely dangerous mode of transportation, and if you live in a place where it's really cold, like Alaska, you could never drive it in the winter. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.